Okay, so a common struggle, a common problem, a common issue here at Absolute Dogs, welcome to Absolute Dogs TV, is that actually so many people worry about their dog running into other people, running up to dogs, running up to people, pestering, running up to someone, maybe someone down in the distance having a picnic down there.
There are picnickers
right there. Maybe we should worry. I don't know if we want to have a nose at our picnickers. I don't know if we'll catch our picnickers. But there are picnickers having a lovely time, and I know for so many of you this would set you into a mild panic. This would send you into a moment of being like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to manage this? How is this going to work? Actually, I'd rather have not walked my dog. I should have stayed at home. It sets you into a worrying space, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the first thing is, if you think your dog might visit someone, then the first thing to do is pop them back on lead, because we don't want them to rehearse it. And also, we don't know what trouble they're going to get into down there.
Important information here, guys. When you are asking them to come back on lead, do this lots and lots and lots when you don't need it, not just when you do. So we are going to pop Magma on lead, because Magma, and maybe Abra.
We seem to have two.
Good, ready? Hey you, Abra, super.
So
ready?
literally I'm just calling her into middle, which those of you who have done the sexier than a squirrel challenge will be very, very familiar with. She's like, I want the chicken. I want the chicken. You have the chicken. And literally I'm just going to clip that on. If I can do it, clipped on, feed, feed, feed. So we're gonna feed, and then maybe she gets to go off again, right? So effectively what we're doing is we're teaching her that actually that's a bit of a non-event. It's so cool. You see that she still wants to come back into middle. She's got no issue with having her collar touch there. And then maybe we'll just send her out again.
Super important here, really important, is that it is not a big event. So being on lead, being off lead, not a huge event for our dogs. Like, it's not a big deal. We're not making a huge deal of this.
And what we're not doing is we're not sending them. So we're not saying, you know, go, run, because actually we want them to hang out in loose proximity.
Now, just like Tom said, and I think it's a really important point that we reiterate with our picnickers down there, is that actually one thing we really don't want is our dogs to rehearse running up to our little picnickers and then getting to jump all over them. Maybe even finding an extra meal, or maybe even finding a scrap of, I don't know, hot dog sausage or barbecue or something lovely. So if you have got a thought that your dog is going to go and visit our picnickers, please, please, please don't allow them to rehearse it. Pop them back on lead. And if you feel you have got no chance of getting them off lead, don't ever put yourself in a position where you're in such proximity that you can't manage it. Actually find bigger spaces, or don't allow your dog off lead in the first place in that scenario, because what you really don't want is a dog who wants to necessarily rehearse. I love that Abra's considering it. Is rehearse actually going up and up to the table. And for me, I would be really shocked if she did ever go up to a picnic, because I really haven't. Abs, come here, Missy. Abra. I haven't ever on a walk.
I'm going to cause trouble.
I haven't ever seen her consider doing that. And that for me makes me feel so secure in the knowledge that actually that isn't an area of deep struggle for her or deep trouble for her.
And what you really want is a dog whose behaviour, regardless of whether they're on lead or off lead, it's still the choice of proximity. Then you've got a dog that actually you can start to give them more freedom, but also take responsibility when you need to take it.
What we mean by that is, I was only the other day walking past a scenario where there were lots of people picnicking near a river, and actually walking past them without feeling that I have to do middle on the move the whole time. Whereas actually initially that's what I would have been doing with a dog like Easy, for example, walking past all the time with the dog in a proximity game position. We now start to give our dogs some of that responsibility, which I feel is a really nice place to be. So a couple of top tips there, just to rehearse, just to recap. Don't allow your dog to rehearse it, number one. Number two, decide whether actually they need to go on lead or not. Actually, sometimes they don't need to go on lead, right? Sometimes you can actually let the dog have that responsibility. Other times, no, actually it's your responsibility. Decide who's taking the responsibility.
And when we say taking the responsibility, that might be put them on lead. That might be that intermediate area of you're off lead, but I'm going to occupy you with something. I'm going to tell you what to do. It might be, you know, do middle on the move. It might be just actually hang out in a loose proximity and just be fed in almost a proximity zone. The point is when we go for a walk with our dogs through the world, it's an interchange of responsibility, and it's our job to be the very best dog owners our dog could ever wish for and match the responsibility level to the skill level.
Another one I would say, guys, just another one really quickly to add here that I think is really important is you take the responsibility for the situation. Don't blame the picnicker. Don't blame the person for eating food on the floor. Don't blame the other dog for being in the distance. Don't blame the other person for wearing a backpack or a yellow jacket. We need to take responsibility for our dogs, and at the same time, that doesn't mean we can't have a hell of a lot of fun doing it. That's exactly what we do at Absolute Dogs. It's exactly what we do when we're playing games. It's exactly what we do when we're training dogs. And so for you, it's really important that actually you consider, no, this is my dog. This is my responsibility. This is something I can manage. I love the idea that actually you're your dog's best advocate. We can manage these situations to set up for success and to minimize poor rehearsal. Poor rehearsal means poor performances repeatedly. So don't allow that poor rehearsal.
Remember, game changers, whatever the dog owning struggle, there's a game for that.
If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel.
And check out our new 25-day online dog training challenge. Watch the videos, play the games, transform your dog owning struggles.
As a loyal YouTube subscriber, you can get a 70% discount through the link in the description below.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to the #1 most transformational dog training podcast on iTunes and Spotify, the Sexier Than a Squirrel podcast.
And remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more live teaching, video content and free training using the links in the description.